I hope that you are well, and I also hope that you are having a good day so far. Today we'll be doing our grade 6 English lesson on sentence types. And before we start with our lesson on sentence types, we're going to log on to aplusstudents.ca. Once you've logged on to aplusstudents.ca with your username as well as your password, and then we're going to select the subject of English Language Arts, grade 6. Once we've selected English Language Arts, grade 6, and then we're going to scroll down up until we get to the chapter of sentence types. All right, so today we're going to be doing sentence types. So the chapter is sentence types. Our subject is English Language Arts, grade 6. And the lessons that we are focusing on today is the sentence declarative? Is the sentence interrogative? Is the sentence imperative? Or is the sentence exclamatory? So if we look at the specific sentence, we need to be able to, by the end of this lesson, we must be able to identify the 4 different kinds of sentences, and we need to be able to identify which sentence is a declarative sentence, an interrogative sentence, an imperative sentence, or an exclamatory sentence. And there are 4 types of sentences, and we see that those types of sentences are the above mentioned. And we're going to start with a declarative sentence, right? And a declarative sentence is a statement. So declarative sentence, it is a statement, right? Just like making a statement, and it always ends with a period. Right? So declarative sentence, it is a statement that you make, and it always ends with a period. For example, the nurse told Mr. Abrams to roll up his sleeves so that she could check his blood pressure. So the nurse told Mr. Abrams to roll up his sleeves so that she could check his blood pressure. So it's basically just saying something, right? It's a statement that is being made. It's like where you're just saying, like, roll up your sleeve because I want to do something. I need to do something because that is the reason why you came. Then we have an interrogative sentence. And if you look at the word interrogative, you look at the word interrogative, right? Then think of somebody interrogating you. If somebody's interrogating you, then they're asking you a lot of questions in and out. And if somebody asks you a lot of questions, you ought to give them an answer, right? Now, in this case, it says that interrogative sentence, it is a question. So it's a question being asked. That is interrogative. And remember, with a question that being asked, right, it always ends with a question mark. I'm going to make the question mark there. It always ends with a question mark. So it's questions that's being answered, being asked. And if questions are being asked, then it means that you need to answer those questions, meaning that questions that's being asked, it ends with a question mark. And an example of a question, or let's say an interrogative sentence, right? Do you have any plans for the upcoming weekend? So you are either going to answer the person based on, yes, I do have plans, or no, I don't have any plans. But this is a question that is being asked. Do you have any plans for the upcoming weekend? So it's either no or it is yes, right? But whatever your response is, just know that an interrogative sentence is basically a sentence where you ask a question and it ends with a question mark, right? All right, then we have an imperative sentence. We have an imperative sentence, and an imperative sentence is a command. So, an imperative sentence, it is a command. And it makes a request, or it even tells someone to do something. And when it comes to an imperative sentence, right, and then it usually ends with a period. So an imperative sentence, right, it's a command. It's like making a request or telling someone to do something. And like we said, it usually ends with a period. For example, also, oh, another, and we are continuing. If the command, right, if the command shows strong feelings, so basically it says that an imperative sentence, right, it's a command, right? So it's like making a request or telling someone to do something, which ends with a period. But if that specific command, right, uses strong feelings, and then it ends with an exclamation point. So if that specific command, it shows strong feelings, and then it ends with an exclamation point. All right. An example, right? An example, we're going to go to two examples, right? One command which ends with a period, and another command which ends with an exclamation point. So, for example, for this assignment, use references to support your claims, which means that either the teacher or the lecturer or somebody is telling you what to do. And also, when it comes to a command or an imperative sentence, right, we see that it usually also ends with an exclamation point, right, if it shows strong feelings. For example, don't drive so quickly in the construction zone. So don't drive so quickly in the construction zone. But I'm sure that person, if it's an exclamation mark, then it means that the person probably said it with like full command in the voice. It's almost like shouting. And then we have an exclamatory sentence, right? An exclamatory sentence, it is like a statement. Remember, a statement is like basically where you just say something. Even if I were to say it's a beautiful day today, I'm just saying something. Even if I say that, oh, it's getting dark quicker, and we say that an exclamatory sentence, it is like a statement. But in this case, right, with an exclamatory sentence, yes, it's a statement, right? But it shows surprise and it shows strong feeling. So it basically shows surprise or it shows strong feelings. So an exclamatory sentence, it always ends with an exclamation point, and this is an exclamation point. Oops. And that is an exclamation point. So an exclamatory sentence, it always ends with an exclamation point. Or it's like saying, if we look at the examples, right, it says, I can't wait to travel through Europe this summer. And there we even have that exclamation mark. So we see that an exclamatory sentence is like a statement, but it shows more surprise or it shows strong feelings, right? So these are the four different types of sentences, right? We said we have a declarative sentence, so like I say, we have four different types of sentences. So we have our four different types of sentences, and we're starting with a declarative sentence. And a declarative sentence, right? It's like a statement. Like I say, even if I tell you that the sky is gray, it's my statement. I don't expect a question, an answer back. So with the declarative sentence, right, that we said is a statement and always ends with a period, right? It's basically you just telling people things. Then we have an interrogative sentence. So an interrogative sentence is a question and always ends with a question mark. And with an interrogative sentence, they ask questions. And with questions that's being asked, and then once again, we have an imperative sentence, which is a command, and it makes a request by telling someone to do something, and usually ends with a period, right? So depending on how the imperative is being given across or the instructions, right? For example, don't drive quickly in the construction zone, but that is more like stressed. And then we have an exclamatory sentence. An exclamatory sentence, it's like a statement. It's the same almost like a declarative sentence. But in this case, instead of it being similar to a declarative sentence, right, it shows surprise, it shows strong feelings. And with an exclamatory sentence, it ends with a exclamation point. For example, I can't wait to travel through Europe and this summer. If that is an exclamatory sentence, then it means that it shows the surprise, it shows the excitement in the voice, right? Or the excitement that it shows on the person that is like putting the sentence across. All right, so this letter we are doing on A plus students.ca. All right, so we're going to A plus students.ca. So when it comes to sentence types, we're going to ask ourselves, is a sentence declarative, is it interrogative, is it imperative, or is it an exclamatory sentence? And we really like went through a whole breakdown of the four kinds of sentences, right? And we started with a declarative sentence, then we have an imperative sentence, we have a declarative sentence, imperative sentence, we have an interrogative sentence, yes, and then we have an exclamatory sentence. And remember, when we identify what type of sentence it is, we need to keep in mind if it's a declarative sentence, interrogative sentence, an imperative, or an exclamatory sentence. All right, so now we're going on to our test. So remember, we said that we have four different types of sentences, right? We have a declarative, imperative, interrogative, and exclamatory sentence. So we have an interrogative sentence, declarative, and exclamatory sentence. So what kind of sentence is this? I can't believe this is Leah's first time seeing the Pacific Ocean. So I can't believe this Leah's first time seeing the Pacific Ocean. Is this an interrogative sentence, a declarative sentence, or an exclamatory sentence? All right, so if we say, I can't believe this is Leah's first time seeing the Pacific Ocean. All right, so we say that it is an exclamatory sentence, right? So we chose exclamatory sentence. So what kind of sentence is this? Which local reservoir supply our town with its fresh water? So now they want to know what kind of sentence is this? Which local reservoir supply our town with its fresh water? Is this an imperative sentence? Is this a declarative sentence? Or is this interrogative sentence? And if you look at the last, let's say the last punctuation mark of that sentence, it is a question mark. So now you need to keep that also in mind, what type of sentence it is, and also the fact that it ends with a question mark. So is this an imperative sentence, declarative sentence, or is it an interrogative sentence? And since it's a question mark, right, we're going to go with interrogative. Because interrogative, yes, it seems or sounds more extreme, right? But it is basically asking questions. All right, so we will say it is an interrogative sentence. An interrogative sentence, it ends with a question mark. That is basically the only sentences out of the four questions or out of the four types of sentences that is an interrogative sentence. And then what kind of sentence is this? Celery, onions, and carrots are often used in sauces and soups in fresh water. Is this a exclamatory sentence? Is this an interrogative sentence or a declarative sentence? An interrogative, remember I mentioned interrogation. So celery, onions, and carrots are often used in sauces and soups in French cooking. So we have exclamatory, interrogative, or declarative. So we can say this is a declarative sentence. So it's basically just telling us, right? All right. So it says, what kind of sentence is this? Tell us more as soon as the contest results are posted. So as soon as the results or the post has been surrounded. So tell us the contest result as soon as the contest results are posted. Is that an exclamatory sentence? So as to tell us as soon as the contest results are posted. So tell us more, or tell us as soon as the contest results are posted. And we said that is, we can say it's an imperative sentence because you want somebody to tell you. Yes, imperative sentence. So well done. Imperative sentence is correct. How many articles did Jared write before before his publisher offered him a book contract? So how many articles did he write before his publisher offered him a book contract? Is this a declarative sentence, interrogative sentence, or is it? So how many articles did Jared write before his publisher offered him a book contract? Is this a declarative sentence, an interrogative sentence, or is it an imperative sentence? All right, so if we look at what kind of sentences is, right? If we look at the punctuation mark, it is a question mark. And if it's a question mark, right, then we know it is an interrogative sentence. All right, so it's an interrogative sentence. And do you know Kevin from soccer camp? Or do you have another connection with him? So, do you know Kevin from soccer camp, or do you have another connection with him? Is it interrogative, declarative, or exclamatory? All right, so since it's ending with a question mark, right, we can say it's an interrogative sentence. And remember, we said with interrogative, it's like asking yourself, like, they're going to interrogate somebody. So, do you know Kevin from soccer camp? And we said this is an interrogative sentence. An interrogative sentence is correct. So, well done. Interrogative is correct. Well done, everybody. You're an absolute genius for figuring out how to stop the leak. We need to say what type of sentence this is. You are actually an absolute genius for figuring out how to spell to stop the leak. So we said, this is, if we look at, it says the next one says, what kind of sentence is this? You're an absolute genius for figuring out how to stop the leak. And there's an exclamation. There's an exclamation point. So you are an absolute genius for figuring out to stop the leak. There's an exclamation mark or an exclamation point at the end of that sentence, which means that this is an exclamatory sentence, right? It's an exclamatory sentence. Yes, and it's an exclamatory sentence, right? Because we said an exclamatory sentence, it ends with an exclamation mark, and it's basically just a statement. All right, so it's an exclamatory sentence. So, which do you think is the most important environmental issue of our time, water conservation, or the protection of natural habitats? Is this an imperative sentence? Is this an interrogative sentence? Or is this an exclamatory sentence? And it ends with a question mark. So, which do you think is the most important environmental issue of our time, water conservation, or the protection of natural habitats? There it ends with a question mark. Yes, so which means that it's an interrogative sentence. I like how you say that it's an interrogative sentence, but also the reason why. Sometimes, if we know the reason why, it is a specific word, right? And we said it's an interrogative sentence because it's an interrogative sentence. And do you usually prefer your orange juice with pulp or without pulp? Question. Is this an imperative sentence? Is it a declarative sentence? Or an interrogative sentence? So it basically ends with a question mark, right? So if it ends with a question mark, we say it's an imperative sentence because now it becomes a question that's being asked, right? And there we have it. Interrogative sentence ends with a question mark, right? Yes, it ends with a question mark again. And what kind of sentence is this? Greg has never tried chocolate ice cream before. which I find astounding. So Greg has never tried chocolate ice cream before, which I find astounding. Is this a declarative sentence, exclamatory, or an interrogative? So we can say it's an exclamatory sentence. Firstly, it ends with an exclamation mark. All right, so we're going with an exclamatory sentence. So we are going with, let's go to the next one. Call a plumber as soon as you can and explain that the pipes are clogged. So is this an exclamatory sentence, an imperative sentence, or is the interrogative sentence? So we will say it is an imperative sentence. Because remember, exclamatory ends with a exclamation mark. Interrogative is a question that is being asked. It ends with a question mark. So we will go with an imperative sentence. All right, an imperative is correct. So what kind of sentence is this? How many cubic feet of sand do we need to fill the sandbank? So it is either an interrogative sentence because it ends with a question mark, or it is an imperative sentence, or it is a declarative sentence. Remember, it's ending with a question mark. All right. So we cannot say it's an okay, let's go. It is an interrogative sentence because a question is being asked. They're asking how many cubic feet of sand do we need to fill the sandbox? And that is an interrogative sentence. So is it right? So the previous one, just before this one, was an interrogative sentence. All right. So we spoke about sentence types, right? And we see that there are four different types of sentences. So we say there's four types of sentences. We have a declarative sentence, an interrogative sentence, imperative sentence, and an exclamatory sentence, right? And each one of these four sentences has its own, let's say, purpose or function, right? We have a declarative sentence where it's like you're just saying something and it ends with a period. Then we have an interrogative sentence. It's like where questions are being asked, right? And then we have, all right. So with the four types of sentence, remember it is very important, right? Because with four types of sentence, you'll be able to know if the person is either demanding, if the person is changing its tone, if the pitch is high, does mean that the person is angry, and also the punctuation marks that is given at the end of each sentence will also show if it's either a declarative sentence, um, or basically any specific sentence questions that is being asked. Are people going to come? Are we going to answer the question, sorry, based on that question that is being asked? So that is basically what you need to keep in mind when it comes to the four different types of sentences. All right, so that is now the end of our lesson on um, sentence types. Thank you very much for joining the class. Thank you very much for being interactive. I really appreciate that, and I really hope you're going to have a good day further. Goodbye.